Monica Gibson, and today I'm joined down the line by Svendson for his outlook on the performance of the US dollar against the pound, euro and Japanese yen. Now Anders, before we discuss your chosen pairs, it's been an eventful week with Bernanke's federal testimony, ECB meetings and Italian elections. We also have the sequester deadline looming this evening. But how would you describe the sentiment as we enter the weekend, and what would you say has been the biggest market mover?
I think Italy has obviously been the biggest market mover. I think it was perhaps not unexpected because a lot of people had talked about things that could go wrong, but markets surely hadn't priced a stalemate or a deadlock in Italian politics. And I think what has come back after this election is all the fear that the euro area could be heading into new troubles with numbers going south and politicians doing the wrong things, and once again people start to talk about whether the ECB can actually continue to sort of bear the entire burden of turning things around in the euro area and actually facilitate a recovery. I think it also sort of points to a longer term risk factor that I also think everybody has been talking about, but nobody really sort of started to think should have a market impact yet, and that is elevated unemployment rates in the peripheral economies. It will take years, even if the euro area recovers from now on. It will take years before we see lower unemployment, and as long as unemployment is as high as it is now, then there is clearly a risk that we'll see some of these political happenings or political turnouts that is clearly in the wrong direction in terms of a strong euro area in the longer term.
The pound took a bit of a battering last week and has since become the world's worst performing currency of 2013 so far. Some analysts do believe, however, that the loss of the pound's safe haven status could turn positive for the British economy. But what is your outlook for it against the US dollar in the short, mid and longer term?
I think everybody's short pound at the moment. I really don't think that the coming Bank of England governor has done the UK any favour by adding so much uncertainty about what the central bank will do. Of course, the minutes from the latest Bank of England meeting also showed that there might have been or might be a bigger inclination to do more QE. So that's just more wood to the fire. So everybody's short pound, and basically the only thing that can change that trend in the near term is if we get some kind of calmness around Italy and calmness around this US sequester issue, and we get some risk sentiment improvement again. Then we actually think that the pound could take a short correction, but in the longer term we are pretty bearish on the pound.
The euro dollar saw little reaction to German data releases as currency markets remain cautious, keeping one eye on Italy, where there's been little or no progress and so far in the wake of Monday's parliamentary stalemate. The latest economic news from Italy was also dour, with unemployment rate increasing to 11.7%, putting yet more pressure on the ECB to pull the eurozone back into the black. I understand despite all of these factors you're still bullish on the euro. What are your reasons for this?
Yeah, we had this strong euro outlook for the first half of this year, and obviously Italy and also partly the US has changed that. We are in risk-off mode here now, and that is why we've seen the euro dollar head down. But I don't think Italy is going to blow up, and eventually the US politicians will solve their issues as well. So we still believe that by mid-year we'll have the euro dollar significantly higher and maybe up to around 137. Basically, the euro doing pretty well against most crosses. But then again, in the longer term, we still think the dollar is going to be the key trend. The U.S. economy is simply doing much better than all the other major economies and will be doing much better for many years. And Fed will probably start at least scaling back their QE sometime this year. So strong euro once we see some calmness on Italy, and then in the longer run, we still believe the dollar should strengthen significantly, even from the current levels.
And finally, if we look at the dollar yen, the official appointment of the new Bank of Japan governor is very much in line with the government's attempts to weaken the yen in a bid to boost their economy. As mentioned before, we also have this sequester deadline this evening, which markets don't seem to have priced in yet. With this in mind, do you see a further depreciating yen on the horizon?
For the yen, we're pretty bearish, and that's both short and long-term issues. Of course, as you mentioned, in the near term, I don't think there's any doubt that this new Bank of Japan governor has been appointed to make sure that the yen weakens significantly, and obviously the Prime Minister will help as well as much as he can. But underlying problems are also significant in the Japanese economy, and it's going to come into focus again. That fundamentals are pretty bleak, and then of course it's fundamentally way too strong. So all factors point to a weaker yen in the longer term, and we have a target of around 100 by year end.
Anders, that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you very much for your perspective. Well, that's all from me for the moment, but for a reminder of all the main headlines, click back to Dukascopy for the weekly wrap-up with my colleague Thomas Taplin. Bye for now.